Let's briefly talk about the Tekken Bot Prime app and should you be using it in 2022. Keep in mind this is only for the PC version of Tekken 7, so if you have that and you don't know what it is, then this is a perfect video to watch. Let's get started. So the Tekken Bot Prime app was really the OG app in terms of showing you on-screen frame data and the miscellaneous information like while you're playing, versus going on various sites, whether it's Discord or forums, and then looking up the frames manually. So this app definitely had its place back in the day, but if you consider today, there's already things like the Tekken Overlay app, as well as there's a frame data built into the game, albeit DLC, but you do have that option in terms of looking at the frame data. And we can actually open it up right here just to kind of compare what's going on here. And so because these options exist, then it's kind of redundant to use the Bot Prime app, but we'll explore it anyway. Pretty much the Bot Prime app is pretty simple, as you can see on the screen. Anytime you do a move, it'll show you two numbers, one being the frame data of the current move and where it leaves you at, whether it's at a frame advantage or frame disadvantage. Blue being at advantage and red being at a disadvantage. And we can just go briefly from left to right. Obviously the one that says COMM, that's the notation of the move you just did. The type would be high, mid, or low. Well, I guess that MID UNB stands for maybe that's like an unblockable. Actually, yeah, it stands for unblockable. For the ST, that's a startup, so that's pretty simple. For the ACT column, you'll see that that shows you the active frame numbers. So moving on, for the T column, this actually stands for how well moves track, and it goes like in a letter-based score. So for instance, if I do a move like this, that'll be A, C. This seems more of a linear move, so that's C. And it just ranges depending on what move you do. And obviously if you do a tracking move like that, then it's a S+. So that's the highest you can get because it's actually a tracking move. So the next column will be the total, which says TOT to the right of the tracking column, and that will actually be the total number of frames a move entails. So that's combining the startup and the cooldown time. So yeah, so like for a jab, it'll be 27, 49, 57 for slower moves. You can see that, and it'll be even longer for slower moves, right? Like this will be 60, and this kind of tells you how fast and how slow a move is. It just gives you a better, like, in my opinion, a representation of how the speed of the move, of how much frames it takes to begin and complete, if that makes sense. So I just think it's a better visual cue, I guess, in terms of how fast the move is. The last column will be notes, and this is just any extraneous notes for a certain move. I guess it's just up to the discretion of the people who made the app and what comments they choose to include. I know for, let's see, grabs, it'll show you like that's a 2 grab, I guess. If I do a move that you have to jump, then it'll say TJ. I'm not sure exactly what that stands for, but so that's that. Now, this is what comes by default for the Tekken Bot Prime app. However, you can actually add more columns on to the overlay. So if I go here, turn this on, and you can see here you have Tekken Bot, restart, columns. So I can turn on additional options here. Let's see, I can do the internal move ID. Let's just turn that on. Turn on name, the frame advantage on block, which is useful as well, the frame advantage on hit. So you can just depends on what you want to do in terms of how much extra information do you want on the overlay app. So yeah, let's start with name. This is the internal move name, which isn't very useful, I don't think. So let's move on to the next column, and then we have ID. This is the internal move ID number, where it says ID. And also that's not really useful for us being the end user or the player. It's not really useful. Let's take that off. the frame advantage on block. And this is also very useful information. So it's kind of more customizable frame data overlay in my opinion. So it does have its use, you know. Obviously, yeah, for standing jabs, you're +1 on block. So to show you like how you can also see this information on the other side, depending on how you set it, but it's still useful information for in the context of your perspective of player 1, whether you're player 1 or player 2. So yeah, it shows that. That's pretty cool. That's the frame advantage on hit. We already know that, of course. Very cool, very cool. Then this will also show you the frame advantage on counter hit. So you don't even have to, I guess, do a counter hit. Oh my goodness! You don't have to do a counter hit in order to see the information of what would be the frame advantage if you were to do a counter hit. So it actually saves time in terms of training. Again, for instance, jab. Even if he's blocking or if he's getting hit. But both of these options, he's not getting counter hit yet. It's still showing me that it will be a +8 if I were to counter hit him. And the REC and the OPP. These are the frames before the attacker can act and frames before the attacker can defend. So it's a raw number of frames before they're able to pretty much do another action after a certain move. So again, it's just a lot more detailed if you choose to take this on, I guess. Also, you can change the color scheme, black and white. I can make it black and white. Of course, I had it on classic. You can make this pink even. So you can choose different colors. That's pretty cool. And the next one will be a punishment alarm. And you already heard that. But this shows you kind of what you're able to punish. So yeah, for instance, I have this move set to when the bear does the hell sweep. And if I don't punish it, then it gives you a sound. If I don't punish it. If I do it, then it doesn't. If I punish it, then it's fine, right? But if I don't punch it, like I said, then it tells me that I missed a punish. You just reset it by setting. You reset it by setting the mode to frame data and setting the color scheme to something other than punish alert. So like I said, if I do a black and white, then it's fine. And columns, put that on, bam bam, we're good. Okay, so that's it for the Tekken Bot Prime and for the Tekken Bot Prime app. And so just to put it all together, I believe that this also has its use despite there being multiple options in terms of displaying on-screen frame data. This app has a lot of uses, as we've seen, in terms of an audible punish window, which Tekken has in terms of recording gameplay. We know that ever since season 4. But there's more contextual numbered options in terms of seeing the properties of frames, as you can see in terms of the total number of frames, the frame that the move would be on counter hit, the total amount of cooldown time an opponent or a player has after a move. So it's just a lot more options you can play around with if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the game and explore certain setups and situations. So I still think it has its place as a worthwhile option to assist your training in Tekken 7. So that's all I have, folks. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Discord, Twitter, stuff like that, and I'll see you guys later.